Welcome back to another episode of A Very British Space Program. It is 1965, the 20th of August, and we are launching the Faraday 3 F-102, so please join me. So we are heading on up out of the atmosphere, on board with pilot Kim Jarvis, our veteran, our one and only, and the scientist Marcia Seymour, who is or was the first scientist to fly into space, and I believe is going to become the first scientist to fly past the moon. Although saying that, she's been in the program so long now. Is she still a scientist? Is she a pilot? Is she just an astronaut? I don't know. So this mission again will be flying in a Faraday 3 on top of a Blue Knight 2, and we're just basically reusing the system that we've already deployed once for this. This is going to be an actually shorter flight than the previous mission, because the previous mission spent a lot of time hanging around far away. It was basically primarily there to test the ability of the capsule for its longevity. We don't expect missions to take, I think that was 14 to 16 days. We don't expect our capsules to actually spend that much time on their own in space. Primarily it was just to see how far we could go, and it would have been probably safer to have done it in a low Earth orbit, so we could have brought craft back, but we also wanted to test the re-entry profile and things like that, and I think we did reasonably well with that. So this mission's going to be a lot shorter. We're hoping to finish it by the end of August this time, so we'll be finished well before September, and all the school kids can watch it on the news and stuff before they go to school. And then we've got some educational programs planned so that the school children will do about this mission when they return in September, because it's all about educating the nation and pushing the nation forward as one. And there we go. And the Faraday 3 is a nice stable craft in orbit. We do get a little bit of wobble with RCS, and we're going to have to look into that. We're possibly overreacting with our RCS a little bit to stabilization, but in general the craft does well. And you can see we're firing up our 4 row engines. These are the most advanced row engines we've got, and I'll repeat, we have 4 of them because the row engine has not had the best of past histories in our space program. In fact, because of the failure of 1 or 2 of them, we've had a number of incidents internationally, I believe would be the phrase. We are still investigating what happened to the Jackal. We're starting to believe that actually maybe the Americans or the Russians have acquired it. We think it probably actually made it through okay and landed, and what we've actually had is either problems with the communication system or something like that, or somebody's blocked it. We're not sure. We've got the ambassadors out having a little chat around, and we have other agencies investigating, shall we say, but at the moment we're not entirely sure what actually happened with the Jackal. So if we see any interesting tech being flown in the next few years, we'll start to take a closer look at it, shall we say. Anyway, so this craft is basically just on its way to the moon, and you can see there lovely little shots that we get. Obviously what we're actually doing is we're putting out we're throwing out some handheld satellites just to take these pictures and transmit them back to the capsule. That's how we got these wonderful images, and you can see they're just flying past round the dark side of the moon, past the moon's surface, getting some lovely pictures. The crew just staring out the picture holes there, just watching away at everything that's happening. Absolutely stunning. So on re-entry, we orientate ourselves into what is becoming our standard re-entry approach. So instead of going to the normal, which we did with the Faraday 2, we're actually going to go into retrograde, and we then will decouple once we're in the right position and we've actually timed everything. We will then aim for decoupling. So there we go. Ready, positioning ourselves, and there we go, we decouple, and then we have the actual service module propulse itself away. It moves itself to one side and then activates the remnants of its engines to pull itself away from the capsule and make sure that it makes a fiery re-entry. We don't want it to glide in, and we don't want bits of it to land anyway. We want to be very safe and secure. And so now it's just a case of capsule returning through the atmosphere, and this is the point where we get nervous. We always get nervous because you never quite know what's going to happen. We've had potentially heat shield problems in the past. We've had issues if we go back as far as the Javelin 3, where a craft that performed perfectly fine one day, we had parts of it, shall we say, disintegrate on other days. So we're always concerned about the manufacturing quality of our craft, and this is the bit that tests it to its limit, particularly as we're coming through. We're in plasma blackout now, and it is one of those sort of scary moments. Lovely little shot there, coming over the horizon, the sun, and just coming into the ocean. We're going to pop this down into the Atlantic. Not the warmest of oceans, but the craft will warm the water up for it. It'll help us cool it down nice and quickly. And the Royal Navy will, of course, collect the craft once it's down, and the crew will be recovered, and we will yet again, publish this in the newspapers, in the Times, and so forth. And we will talk about how wonderful the United Kingdom is, and our Commonwealth partners, and how we are working together and unifying the world, and so forth. We have put out a little feeler to the Americans as to whether they wish to partner on some programs. They seem very anti it for some reason. We're not entirely sure why. A nation that is significantly behind us at the moment with their program. We believe they probably think they can catch up, but they have yet to see the latest of our rockets, which we think will scare them a little bit, shall we say. So, as we splash down there, the crew are collected. The Navy's just over the horizon there. You can't see them very well. And it's time to launch something a little different. So this is the 21st of September 1965. It's about a month after our last flight. We've actually been waiting a month for this. The interplanetary program has been put on pause while we await a review of the use of nuclear materials. Most of our interplanetary craft have been using nuclear materials in space, and we're paying a little bit of, shall we say, earshot to it just to do the stuff. However, we are going to progress our near-Earth program. We've had our near-Earth stations up for a while now, and they're nice, but we thought we'd go big. We thought we'd go bigger. We want to spend some time there, so we are launching the largest of our space harbours to date. This is Tempest 1, and this is going to be what we are calling Node 1 of Tempest 1. Yeah, it's a lot of ones. Unlike previous space harbours, this is actually launched from Australia because it is huge. It's about 7 times the mass of our previous space harbours, and it has about 15 times the internal volume. So this is a big upgrade on the Endurance series, and this is going to form part of the Tempest project, which will hopefully result in increased, shall we say, spatial colonisation, is what the idea is. We've taken the title Tempest from our first craft, because one of our first craft was Puck, which you would say a character in Midsummer Night's Dream, and we thought, well, what else is there? We thought, well, the Tempest is a really famous Shakespeare story play, so we thought we'd call this the Tempest, because also, Tempest and sailing and harbours, we thought, that's, a harbour, safe storm, things like that. I thought that'd be a lovely idea. So this is the Tempest 1, and this is going to be actually sitting in orbit aligned to the plane of the moon. No reason we're doing that, just, it seemed logical, just in case. It might help with communications, but probably communications is why. And also we can then look at the moon more easily from orbit, get an idea, put some telescopes on there and things like that. This craft is going to sit in about a 250 kilometer circular orbit. It's not going to be very high up. It is going to be matched to the moon, so it will get nice views of the moon. We'll get, be able to track it nicely. We'll be able to see the we call it the light side of the moon, I suppose, even though sometimes it's dark. The near side of the moon, we can actually check it out. It has a large number of generic thrusters on it, and you will notice it also has a large number of docking ports. That's going to be its gift to our program. Not only is it larger and has, more storage for electricity and food and resources and so forth, and crew. We can actually hold, I think, 6 crew on this craft quite easily. It also has the ability to dock multiple craft to it, and so we're going to be able to sort of really change over crew more easily when this thing is fully operational. However, this is not its final form. There will be there's going to be some adaptations, shall we say, to this craft. This is also, this is just the first of the Tempest stations. We have something else planned as well, but it's a little bit grander. It's going to be, I think, groundbreaking what we've got lined up. So this thing was just going to sit in orbit. It's not going to be crewed for a while. We're actually going to do a lot of automated testing on it because it is so much bigger and more advanced than anything we've ever done. It is really pushing our boundaries right now. And this is definitely going to be the start of us trying to colonize space, colonize the new world, shall we call it. and we need a harbour to go for with that. So, with that sitting in orbit, we are now approaching the end of September 1965, and the Jaguar is approaching its sort of final, well, is it its final destination? Yeah, it's going to be its final destination, or we hope it is anyway. It's going to make a very close pass to Jupiter. What we do notice on approaching Jupiter is we're getting quite a lot of electromagnetic radiation coming off it. Now, obviously not from our radioactive sources on the bottom of Jaguar, obviously that's not the problem at all. It's actually, it seems as though there's a lot of magnetic field action going on around Jupiter, which we sort of expected because of its mass, but we will need to take this into account in future, and we may see some problems with craft because of it. We don't know. If we don't encounter problems, I'll be surprised. So one of the big maneuvers here is that after all this time in space, we're going to be asking that row engine, that first generation row engine. These are the notoriously, shall we say, selective on starting engines. We're going to be asking that to actually fire one more time, at least one more time. We would really like to put this craft into orbit around Jupiter. You can see Jupiter is huge. We are still a significant distance away from the planet, but it is huge. The cameras on this spacecraft are taking pictures, and we're just getting what looks like, storms on the surface that could swallow up the Earth. It is a massive structure. It is actually unbelievable. We can't see any surface. There is no evidence of surface. We do believe it's primarily gas, but we haven't studied it fully. We need to do some science around this thing. We need to understand Jupiter because it is huge. It's on orders of points of approaching the size of a small star, we believe. So how's it managed to get so big is one of the big questions we have. So we're going to swing past near the atmosphere now. We are keeping away from that atmosphere because we don't know how thick it is. We don't know how far down it goes or anything like that. What we are going to do is fire the row engine. So we basically ullage using our RCS, and then the row engine will fire up, and it manages it. We actually do get a fire of the engine. Now, we're not going to use all of our fuel. We do have a couple more ignitions left in that engine, which will allow us to hopefully have a look at some other possible rendezvous. The craft is just going to float around the back, and of course at this point we don't have any signal with the craft. This was all entirely automated. We don't know what's happening until it comes around the other side and is able to transmit back towards Earth with its dish. We don't know if it's survived or not because we have nothing else this far out at the moment. This is the furthest out craft we have. We have others on their way out, but the Jaguar was the first of our big long distance missions. It's not like Mars and Venus. This is big. This is beyond the asteroid belt, beyond Vesta and Ceres. This is a huge planetary body that's a long way from Earth, and this is a challenge for us. And this craft is very much was at the time very much the greatest tech we had, but now is very old. It's been in space a long time. It's scarred. It's wary. It's aging, shall we say? So there are concerns the engine won't have fired. There are concerns that we won't ever hear from it again, or that we'll hear from it, but it's flying off out into random space that will not do anything for us. So if that happened, it doesn't matter. We've still got science from this. We've still visited Jupiter, but we would really sorely love to be captured around Jupiter. And of course, as the sun just trickles over the horizon, we know that we have managed it. We are in orbit around Jupiter. The cameras on the craft are able to pick up the specks of light as the sun dances across the planetary bodies or the moons of Jupiter. And we're going to spend some time now in orbit just really figuring out what to do next with this craft. It will take weeks and months to gather the vast amount of data that we actually need to send back, because this craft does not have the widest signal range as possible. We are going to look at extending the Jaguar's mission. It will stay in its current orbit for at least a few months gathering data, but we do want to look at, we have a little bit of fuel left, what can we do that's going to be clever with this? So as we consider that, until next time,